organizations, they have staged protests expressing disappointment on the findings of the one-man inquiry commission. So what do you have to say on this?
Uh, First of all, this was a complete independent inquiry that was done, and as was committed from the government side, we have laid the report completely in a very transparent manner on the table of the House, so that all the facts can come out. And therefore, this inquiry also was conducted and done on the basis of the concerns and also the wish of the public in general. And therefore it was done. So now that the report is out, we have laid it out, and all the facts are there in it for everybody to see.
Why the tamped report was put? No, a lot of omissions, erasing, what we
Can
received.
you give my report? You can give the documents, my file.
So we have not seen the names of the police personnel.
Yeah, I'll just do it. So if you look in para 5 of the report, the report itself has mentioned that the details of multiple investigations contained sensitive information regarding the manner and mode of investigation and crime detection, which was still ongoing, and disclosure thereof is likely to prejudice such investigation and was contrary to public interest. That's the first observation that was made. And the second was that statements were also being made on behalf of the police officers involved in the police action, and disclosure of the names of these officers could seriously endanger their personal safety. So therefore, the Commission itself has recommended in their report that these names should not be made public, in the interest of the safety of the police, number one, and number two, also because there are ongoing investigations that are there, and sensitive names of people who provided sensitive information based on which the entire investigation took shape and moved forward. Those names were there, and hence it would hamper the overall investigation in the larger overall interest of the public, that those names be not made public. And this was a recommendation of the Commission itself, and hence based on that recommendation and mention, we have omitted the names.
This
So
was during
whether-
the hearing stage. This observation was during the hearing stage, but not in the final report. Nowhere we
This
have.
is the final report.
No, the previous para, if you say, if you read, that mentions that during the hearing they wanted this, during the hearing, not submission of the report.
No, it says that this entire the investigations are still going on, even as we speak right now. The investigations on the different extortion, different areas of this what you call the extortion notes and other concerns. All of these investigations are still going on. So all of these are very relevant.
So the findings of the one-man commission of inquiry had clearly stated that the operation that was being carried out in a very reckless manner. So whether action will be taken on this regard, sir?
First of all, I think it's important to understand the entire scenario that was unfolding in front of the police and the state as a whole. And we had seen in the last few months preceding the incident that took place on August 13th, that there were large extortion notes being sent to a lot of individuals, business people. There are mentions about life threats being given to people, saying that if they don't pay up, they will be killing them as well as their family members. And so a lot of threats were taking place. Apart from that, numerous IED blasts took place throughout the state, which really was endangering a lot of people. And in the findings of this commission also, as well as the investigations conducted by the police, clearly reflected the involvement directly of the individual concerned. There was an imminent threat of another IED blast which would take place in 24 to 48 hours in the city on the night when they started discussing this matter. And therefore the urgency was there to ensure that in the larger interest of keeping the people safe, the police had to move and had to act. Because if they had not acted, maybe another IED blast would have gone off. We don't know, maybe in Police Bazaar or Bara Bazaar, one of the very high dense locations, and some names have been mentioned in the report also. So this situation at that moment, when this intel that a bomb is going to go off in the next 24 hours to 48 hours comes to the police, and at that point in time it came, they had to take a decision to do something in order to ensure that the people were safe in general. And hence the police acted on that intel, and this matched with the other intels which they had received. And as I said, and the intel on the fact that the concerned person was definitely the person who was involved in not only the extortion but also the IED blast that took place. Hence, all of these put together and the urgency at that point in time led to the operation being conducted, and which of course, as you can see the report mentioned many times, that the objective of course was to arrest the concerned individual. Now, in operations like these and in situation like these, especially when we have a very short time and an imminent threat of 24 hours to 48 hours is there, there is not enough time to really plan out the details. Is that an excuse? It's not. But I'm telling you as factual point that when you are in that position there and you have to decide that within the next 24 hours a bomb is going to go off in the city, what do? I think we have to understand this action from the point of view that whatever the police was trying to do at that point in time was only to ensure the safety of our citizens. And with a lot of facts and figures and intel, based on many months of hard work, the police had come to all the conclusions, and even the report of the commission has mentioned that particular aspect. Hence, it is important to see that part of the report which is in para 34, 35 on page 27 in relation to what the situation was when the police had to make that call. And as I said, when there's an imminent threat of a bomb going off in a highly public dense location, the police had to act. Now in those situations, of course the commission has made a lot of observations regarding the process and the way it was done, and they suggested that it could have been done a different way. So definitely we have called for an explanation, and all the individuals involved here will be called for explanation. And accordingly, once we hear the other side of the story also, based on that, we will proceed further.
But the report had stated that the operation carried out was very well planned, but poorly executed.
So that's what happens. As I said, you see, these kind of operations, one has to understand, are made under a lot of pressure. There is a time pressure, there's a pressure of worry that maybe the bomb has already been planted somewhere. There's a pressure of the fact that what else could happen. So you are working under tremendous pressure with time very limited, and not knowing what's going to happen next. These situations must be taken into consideration why this happened. So yes, you're right. So they are trained well to do all these kind of things. They planned it well. But as I said, it's not always that in situations like these everything will go as planned and as they desire. But as I said, the situation happened, and based on that we have come up with this, and now we have to give a hearing, and explanation will be called from the officials who are involved in this, especially of the tactical team 1, and based on that we will proceed further.
So in the finding, it was also stated that in that intel, police were already, or the team were already surveying the house of the deceased. So how come the police or the team weren't aware who's inside the house, which shows that it was an embarrassment also. Like how couldn't they be sure, or does it state that the intelligence team is very weak in the state, because not knowing, and already in spite of the surveillance being carried out of the house, who's going in, out, whether any militants were there inside, so how all this, there was a...
So in the report, I think you must have seen multiple times mentioned by all the witnesses that they had intel that it's only the family who's staying inside. So there was nothing wrong in the intel, because that's what ultimately happened. So one cannot say that it was a wrong intel, because the intel said that there are no other people except the family. But in these situations, as I said, one doesn't know what kind of surprises may come up. So hence the factor that there could be others was something that was kept as a point and was mentioned again and again in the report, that almost every point in time they said we need to catch him safe, we need to arrest him, and multiple times they mentioned that we had the intel that there was only the family, but we also gave a warning that there could be somebody else, and it has to be obviously, because say suppose somebody was inside, then it would be mentioned that, well, there was intel failure by the government, that they didn't know, by the department, that why didn't they know somebody was not there. So the intel said that nobody was there except the family, and that's what happened also. But as a precaution, this line was mentioned to everybody that be careful, that there could be somebody else. So it's very clear in the report.
Well, after the killing or death of Chesterfield, whether this series of sending extortion notes and all to individuals have stopped?
There has been a large decrease in it. There was in few instances, and now that we are in discussion and talks with others, so these points also discussed, but it has come down drastically. And but there were some instances, we will not deny that, there were some instances, but much lesser compared to what it was before.
So the
one question
KHA
is there about the Human Rights Commission, where that the police should follow when carrying out such raids to remember the rights of humans. How will the government go about to ensure that the police are being trained in this manner? There was one point where action to be taken.
Yeah. So no, it's a recommendation that's been put in, and definitely these recommendations, all the recommendations that have been put in by the commission are very, very positive in nature, and definitely it will only lead to improvement of the police service at large, and we will definitely look into all of these suggestions. But as I said, please, you have to understand from the entire larger perspective that in this